And joining us now for more is Yoram Schweitzer, Senior Research Fellow and Director for the Program on Terrorism and Low-Intensity Conflict at the Institute for National Security Studies, joining us from Givatayim. And Yoram, let me just ask you directly, is the price of renewing the policy of targeted killings against Hamas leaders in Gaza worth it at the current time, despite the fact it could reignite, of course, fire across the Gaza border?
I think that taking into account the whole circumstances, the whole conditions, the whole parts of the equation is a possibility. But I wouldn't think that Israel would announce it beforehand. And I think the option of hitting the cadres of the leadership of Hamas is on the table.
Is there let's just take the assumption that hitting, for example, Yahya Sinwar would certainly lead to some kind of response from within Gaza, rocket attacks or more trouble at the border there. Is there some preliminary step short of that Israel could do to make serious its intentions to pursue that policy if this incitement, direction of terror attacks continues from Gaza?
I think there are several options. Part of the options Israel is already being taken. In the West Bank, which produced part of the attacks, the terrorist attacks, some of them emanated from Israel's own territory, and it was taken care of. And if and when there are skirmishes or rockets launched from Gaza, the options include hitting the Hamas leadership.
Okay. What about us on the field? We talk about incitement, which is mainly done through the medium of social media these days. Are there steps that Israel could do, even though it would be called either censorship or controlling the media, that Israel could do to somehow limit the amount or the level of incitement that, for example, Palestinians in the West Bank and East Jerusalem are seeing?
Yes, of course, but first and foremost, Israel should not follow up and enhance the cognitive warfare that Hamas and Sinwar specifically are conducting against Israel. I think that Sinwar would have liked to become the Palestinian Nasrallah. He is doing very apparent cognitive warfare. And I think we shouldn't echo it, and we shouldn't give him what he wants. He wants Israelis, including pundits, including people from the Israeli expert in the media, echoing his messages, which inflate the power image of Hamas and Hamas's capabilities to conduct this multiple front campaign against Israel. I think we should be very, very sober about his intentions and not to play into his hands.
Can you be? I want to be clear, a little more specific. You're saying news programs such as the one I anchor should simply not show, for example, clips of Yahya Sinwar making threats or something like that?
No, I think that you should put on the media whatever you want to. I think we should put it into context, to put the context behind it, not to go to be fooled by the Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali style declaration that makes Hamas as if it is the USSR, former USSR, or China. We are talking on a very asymmetrical warfare. I think we are much stronger. We can cope with it. We have been coping with such attacks in the past, and I'm sure that we can prevail. And we don't have to exaggerate his power, not to make any sort of censorship on his declarations.
All right, Yoram Schweitzer from the INSS, thank you for joining us on The Rundown.